Tonight, I want to tell you a story about a path. Not the kind that leads somewhere, but the kind that disappears when you chase it too hard. This story is inspired by an idea from machine learning, something called novelty search. It's a way of moving forward without aiming at a goal. Instead of seeking reward, it turns toward surprise, toward the unfamiliar. And somehow, that's where the real discoveries begin. No objective, no map, just the next curious step. Let's follow that. Not to win, not to arrive, but just to see what might unfold. Tonight, I want to tell you a story about a path. Not the kind you follow with a map, not even the kind that lets you see where it leads. Just a path, soft beneath your feet and winding into the trees like a breath you almost remember. You're standing at the edge of it now. The lantern beside you glows a little warmer than the air. And though the trail begins clearly enough, gravel, roots, a few steps pressed into the dirt, the rest is swallowed in mist. Somewhere in the distance there's a sound. A bell, maybe. A tone that doesn't ring so much as hum through the chest. It feels important, though you can't explain why. So you do what we all do. You lean forward, just enough to listen. One foot slides ahead, then the other. But the moment you move toward the sound, the fog thickens. The path, once solid, begins to blur. You glance back and realize the way you came has disappeared too. There's no certainty here, only the softness of soil and the gentle call of something you can't quite name. Imagine a maze, not the tidy kind from a storybook, but something older, rougher, built with twists that double back on themselves, and dead ends that almost feel personal. You're in the middle of it now. Somewhere, far beyond the stone and silence, is a glowing exit. You know it's there. You were told to find it. So, you start to chase. Left, right, forward, again, and again. Your steps get faster, but the paths keep echoing back. You pass the same crack in the wall, the same shape of moss, and your breath starts to tighten. But then you pause, not out of strategy, just from something smaller. A shadow in the corner, a softness in the light. You follow it, not because it leads out, but because it doesn't look like anywhere you've been. And strangely, the stone under your feet begins to shift. The maze, once closed, opens just enough for something new. You find it in the middle of nowhere, a small cabinet, weathered with time, the kind that doesn't belong in the forest. But there it is, half sunk into the moss. Each drawer is a little different. One is carved with leaves, another is scorched at the edge. You open them slowly, and inside, not tools, not answers, just sketches, tiny scrolls, a spiral etched on black paper, a crystal that catches no light, a glass bottle sealed with a waxy curl. You don't know what they're for or who placed them here, but somehow each one feels like a pause you once took, a moment of wonder, stored carefully away. There are no labels, no explanations, but somehow every item feels like something you once noticed and forgot. This isn't a place for conclusions. It's a place for preserving wonder, for keeping the strange things safe so they can shape what comes next. And maybe that's what memory really is. Not a record of what worked, but a quiet archive of what made you stop, what made you curious, what made you feel. You carry a compass. It's smooth in your palm, brushed metal, cool to the touch. For a while, it pointed north, or it seemed to. But somewhere in the fog, it changed. The needle doesn't settle anymore. It spins. Fast at first, then slow, like it's unsure what it's pointing toward. You try tapping it, turning it, waiting. But nothing holds. The signal is no longer yours to follow. So you look up, and there, in the quiet sky, the stars begin to show. Not as commands, not as coordinates, just as patterns, faint shapes woven from time and stillness. Maybe this is the moment the compass was meant to bring you to, not to tell you where to go, but to invite you to look differently. When your tools stop working, your noticing begins. Not the kind of noticing that fixes a plan, but the kind that lets you move with reverence through the unknown. You weren't looking for it. In fact, you'd stopped looking altogether. You were just wandering, letting the quiet pull you, letting the forest speak on its own. And that's when you see it. Tucked at the base of a tree, half covered in vines, is a shape, a doorway, so subtle you might have missed it. But now that you've paused, it's unmistakable. There's no sign, no path leading up to it. Just a soft sense that something has been waiting. You don't know where it leads, but something in you understands. It couldn't have been found by force. It needed the slow steps, the detours, the patient listening. And maybe that's the truth behind so many thresholds. You only reach them when you stop trying to arrive. So, you step forward, not with answers, but with wonder. And something opens. Tonight, we followed a path that faded as we stepped toward it, and found that what disappears when chased sometimes returns when we're still. A maze, a cabinet, a spinning compass. Each reminded us that not all direction is given. Some of it is felt, some of it unfolds. If this stirred something in you, you can always return. Each scene waits quietly in the mist, just as you left it. And if you're curious to keep wandering, the next episode will continue this series about novelty search with a garden that grows without a name. Just click the purple icon to subscribe. Not for answers, but for the quiet shape of understanding. Let it shift, let it settle, and let's sleep on this.